Well, hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Lily Massa McKinley, and I'm the Executive Director for the Kentucky Student Success Collaborative. We are an initiative of CPE designed to help our campus partners accelerate progress on student success efforts. I'm working here with my colleague, Stephanie Mayberry, with CPE, and I know she has been kind of a lead point of contact related to mental health and some of the initiatives and support CPE has to provide over the last, I guess, year really since the pandemic began. And so we thought it would be a really good opportunity to check in with you all, hear how things are going, offer an opportunity for us to talk as colleagues, and then also review a little bit some of the initiatives that have been provided and promoted to hopefully improve the capacity of our mental health services on our campuses, and just to get a sense from you how those initiatives are going, and what additional supports or additional ideas you might have that CPE could play a role at the state level, that the collaborative could potentially play a role in convening you all as a community and keeping this conversation going. I am going to share my screen, and then Stephanie and I will take turns kind of leading the conversation today. Are you all seeing my presentation screen?
Yes, we are now.
Okay, great. It is always a mystery sometimes. Okay. Well, our agenda today is to discuss some campus challenges that you may be facing. I'm sure that you are not going to run out of ideas to share there. But it's just really helpful to kind of keep a pulse on how things are going on the campus and what we could possibly do. When we hear common themes and common challenges, it really provides the collaborative and CPE good focus areas to continue to explore additional resources that we might be able to provide. We also want to look at the Tau Connect initiative. And I know that we're joined by our point of contact from Tau Connect, Vanille, today. So we'll be able to have a discussion about that resource on your campus, as well as the mental health first aid training that has been going on over the last year. And then we'll discuss some additional upcoming opportunities. So I just wanted to start the conversation by just, opening up the floor. I know that the topic is mental health, but just how is everybody doing? I know I don't even want to presume to know how everything is going in your specific shop, but I'd love to hear. And thinking about both kind of the challenges that you may be facing currently, as well as some of the ways that you have adapted throughout this pandemic, and some of the benefits or positive growth that you've seen as a result. I'm sure you all have a lot to share. Just sometimes takes a second to get warmed up.
Good morning. This is Pernella Deems. I'm the Vice President for Student Engagement and Campus Life at Kentucky State. And I'm probably the Tau Connect, or it's one of our mental health counselors is actually probably the Tau Connect for us here. We did work with the team earlier to get established with the page and the branding and the graphics for that. And then we also did talk to folks about initiating the mental health first aid across campus. We did pull our list because we did have some transitions. So we're updating that list in order to send it out to the invite for it. Right now, because most of our activities are virtual, we will probably be requesting the virtual form of that training. But that's where we are right now. We're updating, and we did inform that we are informing the campus community that there are some additional slots as we do send that out for promoting getting that onboarded and started. There are some people from our institution that already did. I believe Dr. Holloway, who's our Dean of Students, is some people in his team in student success already did mental health first aid. So it is open to the rest of the campus now. So we'll be getting those invites out soon. I also did quickly try to send this meeting invite to some of our counselors, so they may jump on late if that's okay, because they were a part of that whole process with us with getting Tau started. We hadn't used Tau a lot. We were trying to use it over the break and make sure students were aware of it. And we're also trying to work on making sure they are accessing it as an option for after hours and for virtual services.
I'm on here, VP Deems. Mr. Lewis is in a session.
Great, thank you.
Hello. Can you guys hear me? Yes. My name is Elena Stubbs, and I am from Hopkinsville Community College. Here in the last 2 years, it's definitely helped our campus because we currently don't have any counseling services on our campus. So this has been a great way for not only our students, but also our faculty and staff to take advantage of TAL. We've hosted several different things to make sure that our students know about TAL, to make sure that our faculty and staff know that it's also available for them too. Also, we've hosted stuff virtually and in person. I currently am over student engagement on campus. And so we just really try to make sure that students, faculty, and staff know that this is out there for them, especially with everything that has gone on the last 2 years. That I really think that this is something really important for our campus for mental health reasons.
That's fine.
Hello, everyone. I'm Peggy Crow. I am at Western Kentucky University and serve as the director of our counseling center as well as the Student Accessibility Resource Center. Hello, Vinny. We launched TAO, I guess, late fall, and we're slowly getting numbers. It maybe not as high as we would like involvement, but Jimmy, my co-chair, and I are going to work on something in the next couple of weeks to launch another campaign on campus, especially to encourage faculty and staff to also use the program. Of course, there's just been a lot going on in Kentucky and world these past several weeks in the past 2 years, obviously. So looking to improve that. And then the mental health first aid training. I think we have our first training on the 15th of February. Actually, I just received my email to do the pre-work. So I have some homework to do today and I'll get to that later. Catherine has been sending that. So that's where WKU is at.
Thanks, Heidi.
This is Kathy Vaughn. I'm Dean of Students at Madisonville Community College. And I would say our TAO has been pretty much embedded in our coursework and in student life activities. We met with Vinny and she was present for a kickoff. We've got it embedded in all the Blackboard shells. It's on the syllabus. We have a weekly, every Tuesday, it's a TAO Tuesday. We send out a topic with the scan code and explain what that topic is and how that can be applicable to a student. We have had employees that have gone in and utilized the assignments, which I can't say enough about the professionalism and the level of knowledge base that's in that. And we have not had to do any heavy lifting on that at all. And when we had student events on campus, which those have been kind of skinny this last year, we have a TAO table set up and we give information out about TAO. So the goal is just continually have that information in front of students, because at any point in time, that may be a relevant moment for them.
Thank you, Kathy. Those are some great ideas. Would love to hear additional ways campuses have really integrated TAO, or and even outside of TAO and some of the first aid training, but what are some of the other, I guess, promising practices that you've seen on your campus related to supporting mental health?
Hi, this is Anita from BCTC, and like everyone else, we've incorporated TAO. I've been going to department meetings to talk to the staff and faculty about TAL directly. Because one of the things you always hear on any campus is that people don't know about mental health services, or they didn't know. So I've been going face to face, giving out materials and introducing them to TAL. I also did a presentation about TAL for faculty and staff back in the fall when we returned to campus. So in mental health first aid, we had our first training in November, I think it was, and we were able to do that live. We're going to have another one in March, but the date that I have set is also a day of orientation. So going to lose all my people, got to change the day for that. The other thing that I've been doing is I've been working really hard with our student organizations, teaching them QPR. So it's a little different, but it's easier to get that to them. So I've been working with those organizations and trying to make sure that they're aware, because they are a great voice. And these groups are really, really passionate. So they're out there with their peers. So it's very helpful for them to know more. That's some of the stuff we've been doing. We're also doing like a Choose Hope campaign, and that's with our Gears Fund. So we bought tons of really cool swag stuff and some really nice boxes that we're able to mail out to people that kind of feel forgotten and say, hey, someone on campus is thinking about you. So that's the kind of stuff that we're trying to do right now in our workshops. I think we did maybe like 52 workshops last semester. So we have a lot of workshops, but we have partners with our Spotlight instruction and our Student Success Hub. So, and we're getting a lot more participation that way. People don't want to talk about mental health, but if they're getting some classroom participation or some extra credit, it has really helped to have those mental health workshops as a part of the Spotlight instruction. So we're able to reach a lot more students that way in large numbers. We have a lot of one-on-one appointments, but we're able to get larger amounts of people in those workshops. So that's some stuff we're doing on our campus.
Thanks, Anita.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Carrie Barnett with Owensboro Community and Tactical College, counselor here at the college. And one of the, I guess, approaches that we have taken to kind of get mental health awareness out on campus is to participate in activities on campus, but also provide a more exciting experience for the students. So, for example, our fall fling, as part of the fall fling, we hosted a silent disco during the fall fling. And so students could come and participate in that, but we also had our counseling center information, our TAL information there to talk to anyone that wanted to speak at the time. We also hosted a Wake and Shake. So obviously incorporating music into mental health, but the Wake and Shake, we had a coffee truck on campus that was provided by the counseling center. So it's free coffee and pastry for students. And then we had a DJ there with some, music to help everybody wake up that morning. We are hosting the C-word consent, workshop through, I think it's on April 5th. So we're having that available to students. And so at each of these events, we're kind of sponsoring through the counseling center and just bringing awareness to mental health and to TAO and all the resources that are available.
Thank you, Carrie. I think, Peggy, have you been adding more ideas into the chat of things that you all have going on?
Yes, I've added, in addition to, our approach is with TAO was to explain that it was a complement to what we do in the counseling center. It's not a replacement, but it's a great complement. And then really stressing it to faculty and staff. We often get calls from faculty and staff about, will you see us as faculty and staff? And our services are for currently enrolled WKU students. And so we have a great EAP program. We work pretty closely with HR to communicate about the EAP program. And so we offer a lot of training in our counseling center sessions that you'll see in the chat. Those are just some. I'm actually getting ready to press send as soon as this meeting ends to the university community. And then we have groups and just a variety of offerings. The more I think we can get on the front end and share information as all of you are doing, I think the better. And then, you know, with the mental health first aid training, we just be cautious. I guess we're cautiously approaching that so that people don't, I guess, leave that training. And I'm attending it, and I'm not a clinician. So I want to make sure that people don't leave that training, think that they are trained clinicians. And so Carl and I, one of my psychologists, and I have been talking about ways that we could provide some compliments after that training for the university community, because somebody may take that. I don't know. I don't know how they may take that training. I've never attended it. I've never participated in it. So in a couple of weeks we will, and then maybe provide some opportunities to share, well, this is how this would work on our campus. These are the partners that we have. A couple of weeks ago, we hosted a student success summit that we do every spring at WKU. It's for everybody on campus. We had maybe 200 people in attendance, faculty and staff, administrators, and our center, conduct, dean of students, several different offices presented on how to help distressed students and where to send a student. You know, just because a student is crying doesn't mean they need to come to the counseling center. They may need financial aid because their loans didn't come through, whatever. You know, everybody that's in the counseling center on the call understands that. So just to explain that these are complements to what the university is already doing. I'm going to add a few different things in here, especially recently in December with responses to the tornadoes too. We were involved in some of those efforts.
Thanks, Megan.
This is Tiffany Menard from Gateway Community and Technical College. Some of the initiatives that we have taken, we have been getting into the classrooms a lot more, presenting on the overall services that we offer within the counseling department. But I also created a new program. It's called the Embedded Care Management Program. And so faculty allow us to go in the classroom and we present on mental health, but then we have a DEI component to it. And then each class is assigned a care manager that checks in with students once a month by phone and or email. And then they're also able to meet with the counselor first come, first serve for walk-in services right after the care management presentation. Another thing that we utilize is the online mental health training. I'm sorry, an online mental health screening. So students can go to our website and complete a screening. It's not to diagnose them with anything, but it is to kind of give them a heads up if they do need to reach out for support services, and it lets them know if they're at risk or not. We try to offer or promote different mental health campaigns every semester. And then for suicide prevention training, we have Cognito, which is an online suicide prevention training. And for in person, we have been offering the mental health first aid training for about 5 or 6 years. And then we also use Maxient, which is a behavior monitor system. And so that allowed us to create a custom referral form that we implemented on our website so students can refer themselves that way as well. And then in addition to all the workshops and events that we offer as well.
Thank you. Aisha, Dr. Aisha from U of L, I saw that you put some new ideas in the chat. Do you mind sharing a little bit?
Sure. Well, like I said, we've set up TAL and we're not using it much for therapy services. And that's partly just a function of the staff being kind of too swamped to add another treatment way of providing treatment right now. But we referred a lot of students to use the self-help features, and we've also put messaging out to faculty and staff that this is for them as well. So about 355 people have set up accounts. I haven't looked to see, I don't even know if I can see if people are actually regularly using it, but we've got that many people who set up accounts for that. Thriving Campus is basically a localized directory. So when we want to refer a student out for services, you know, it can be overwhelming for them to come to us in the first place. And then if we're referring them out, they won't necessarily know where to start. So it's a way for us to help them with that search and finding a community provider. And then we were fortunate enough to have a donor who provided some funding that we're using to fulfill a contract with the community provider, so that if we have a student who needs somewhat higher level of care, like wants to be seen more often than we can see them or needs that, or if we have a wait list, we decided not to let our wait list get past 30 or 35 students. So once we reach that point, we are finding other ways to help students. We always have groups that they can go to, but students aren't necessarily fond of that. They think of it more as a consolation prize or not being good enough, or they think it's like an AA meeting that you see on TV. So it's just kind of a constant thing to try to get messaging out to get buy-in for that. But we're able to fund up to 5 sessions for a student to go to the outside provider. And then if students have parents or guardians that are U of L employees, they can use the employee assistance program that U of L has as well. So we've referred some students out that way. And then the last thing I wrote was just we have 2 fairs. So we have the Self-Care Cardinal Fair. We've done that for several years. And it was so successful that it was suggested, I'll put that in quotes, that we do one in the fall. So now we do a fall wellness fair and we do a Self-Care Cardinal Fair in the spring. We did have the fair in person in the fall. Prior to that, of course, it was canceled because of COVID. So we are keeping fingers and toes crossed because the fall fair is supposed to be, I believe it's on March 10th. So we'll see if we're actually able to make that happen, but that's what we're preparing for. I think those are the major, and we're also starting the process of becoming a JED campus, which I think somebody mentioned about it not being just the sole responsibility of the council center to take care of the entire campus. And so we're hoping that this is one of the ways to make that happen. I'm going to be one of the leads in taking those steps to make that happen, but I plan to recruit 2 other people to share the load. I won't call it a burden, to share the load of being a lead in that process. So we're very, very, very early, like contract service agreement reviewing in that process. But the plan is to get that going this semester.
What did you call
It's a 4-year program.
that? A campus certification of some kind, or what did you call it?
It is JED campus, JED campus, JED campus. So it's mental health, suicide prevention, overall wellness of students. But there's a survey involved. They do the Healthy Mind survey that came out of the University of Michigan. And then they help us create a strategic plan to put some things in place throughout the campus. They do a campus visit after the survey is done. It seems to be really hands-on. They assign you an advisor for your campus. And you create a task force that could be 15 to 20 people. But to start, we get the main people in place, and then we start to communicate with JED and with the Healthy Campus administrators and go from there. So like I said, we're very early in it, but that's where we are in the process.
Thank you. That's great.
Hi, this is Sherry from Southeast. We've not been able to do as much as we could and should. We have like 5 campuses, soon to be 6. And so when we did our orientation this fall, we did bring it up in our orientation. And we also bring it up in our get together when we get back to school with all the faculty and staff to make it aware. And the nurse and instructors know as well. The training, every time we try to set it up, we get the wrong, we get all tangled up and I get busy, then I forget. We hope to get it set up so we can do it. We would love to do in person, but due to the virus, we probably will not be able to. And I did talk to Miss Catherine and we was trying to set up a day to where we could. I try to go by the college campus calendar so we can make sure we can all be there when we can, the ones that want to be a part of it. But we're slowly getting there. It's just been so many hurdles going on that we just can't get it together, but hopefully everybody's doing good with it. Thank you.
William, are you talking?
Yes. One of the things that we've tried to do, and especially now that we're up to the kind of a staff level that can handle this, is we try to do a couple of things. One, we try to do some targeted programming every month. And so what we look at whatever the mental health month or days are. We're partnering next month, for example, some programming on eating disorders. We have targeted programming for Denim Day, which will do something about sexual assault and awareness. We've got programming specifically for women, and some of these we partner with some of the Greek organizations or campus organizations we have here. That's good, and we found that has been effective because you get an audience already. So for those of us, and it wouldn't help for those that are kind of at the community and technical college level, but for those of us four-year institutions, we found that really finding those campus partners has been good because that just makes our reach that much more. The other thing we try to do is get out of the office. We have periodically, I would like to do more of this, but with a lot of the restrictions that we have in place because of COVID and so forth, we're at those programs. We might set up a table by the dining hall and just interact with students, making ourselves more accessible. Instead of just being in the office and hiding in the office, we want to be seen by students and really be, and we have gotten a lot of students that needed, sessions, needed some assistance in some way. We've been able to bring them in just by walking by. Hey, I need to make an appointment. When are you available? Trying to keep a wait list. We've got 3 clinicians here and we have a fairly small campus. So we don't have to deal with a lot of the issues logistically that Western or U of L would have to deal with, but no more than 1 week on a wait list. We will try to get you in. Even if we have to stay later, even if we have to do it virtually from home, even whatever the case may be. That's been something that I said, I don't want a wait list of more than a week. And we've been able to facilitate that even with the increased need that I've seen since the start of the pandemic. So all of those things, we're starting mental health first aid. We're starting to incorporate TAO a little more into a lot of the programming. We used it, and I think I heard VP Deems say we used it a lot or promoted it as a resource while the students were off campus. Because obviously, if they're out of state, we can't engage them in counseling because we're only licensed here in the Commonwealth. So, having that as a resource if students had that need and putting that out there and then kind of incorporating it and just being more holistic and finding those campus partnerships has been really, I think, one of the most effective things. Because you're going to get more of a reach and you're going to get more of an audience if you're partnering with, whatever organizations. They're going to bring their people. Those students are going to bring their friends in, boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever, and you're going to have that much more reach. So we could take, whether we have a group, a guest speaker or one of us or my team and myself or whoever's presenting, we have that much more reach and we can bring in that many more students and get them more engaged. So at the beginning of the semester, last in the fall, we might have put a program on and had 5 kids show up. 5 students, some call them kids. 5 students show up. By the end of the semester, we were regularly having 30 to 40 students in those same programs. because word of mouth spreads. So a lot of those things, training, residence hall staff we do training with, and just as many people as we can be able to reach, with the mental health first aid, with some of the trainings we do, and just make ourselves as accessible as possible.
We're going to have continued time to kind of share different updates from campuses as we go. So I'm just going to move us into the next little bit here where I'm going to pass it to Stephanie, and she's got some updates on the Tau Connect usage.
So I know that a few of you alluded to the usage and the registrations. And so this is a snapshot of those by institutions. And so as you can see, there are some institutions that are doing really well in getting the registrations up, and then others that could use a little bit more work. And the contract runs through the end of this academic year that CPE is sponsoring. And so we have asked Benny to come in and talk to you about maximizing the usage throughout the spring semester. I feel like we're early enough in the spring semester that we could really maximize it for the remainder of the contract. So I'm going to turn it over to Vanilla, and then I'll jump back in to talk about the mental health first aid training.
Hi, everybody. So this is just a little bit of a snapshot, and you can see. And so what's interesting is that everybody's a little different about how they're using this on campus, and it really depends on the efforts. Some are doing mass emails. I know WKU sent out a big wide email to all the students and faculty, and then in different places in KCTCS. I mean, Angela Swim incorporating it in first year experience has proven to have a high increase in utilization. Other places in KCTCS, we're seeing it in respiratory care programs, occupational therapy assistance, vet tech programs have been launched. So it's been a really widespread effort in nursing. And so it's been a variety in campus, but having that one person on campus responsible for it is going to see a wide increase in utilization. We had a user group meeting last week, actually. We have one once a month that was showing different ways of increasing that utilization on campus. So a way of doing that is even just tabling, we have all of these marketing materials available to you. And it's part of your Tau account. So if you log into Tau at us.tauconnect.org, you use your institution credentials, and you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page, you're going to see something called Tau resources. You can also access that through a site called docs.tauconnect.org. And this is going to have a wide range of different marketing materials. So I know some of you have also been making your own, which has been great. If you feel like you don't have the time to do that, or you just want to use what we already have, please don't hesitate to do that. It's all up for grabs. You can edit it, add your school logo, add any information you want about the counseling center, accessibility services, disability services, wherever you want it to be placed. You can put some information about that, and then you create a direct liaison with not only the students, but the faculty, staff, anywhere that it's being used on campus. We also have been launching social media posts. So we post those every month, and you can just copy and paste those and use them in your account. I know some of you have been doing that as well. So it's just a matter of finding where you really want to incorporate it, where would be the best for the students. And we've really found that just even making one piece a requirement as far as content completion, you're going to see a wide range of use. Because word of mouth, they're going to talk about it, whether it's even something that's been assigned to them through conduct as part of a sanction. Well, I've heard of some students who had this to do as conduct, and you can even say, go do 10 Tau sessions or go under your browse all content, evaluating drug and alcohol use, complete that one session, send me your badge, because everybody gets a badge for every session they complete, and that can serve as part of their requirement, whether that's for class, for conduct, for anything. Some other people have been doing mental health breaks in class, which I think is great. Even 5 minutes when you're in a long block, if it's a 3-hour block, and you can take 5 minutes in between lessons to just kind of decompress and try to get people to relax, it's going to really help the retention and the learning. So a little goes a long way, especially when we're talking mindfulness exercises. There's 23 different ones in Tau, some are only 2 to 3 minutes. So just incorporating one, whether it's at the beginning of class, at the end, make it extra credit, something that they can complete that's going to benefit not only their grade, but also themselves. I've also had some campuses make QR codes to anonymous self-help that's going to bring them right to a Tau session, and just printing them and putting them in the gym. So just printing a QR code, they hover their phones over it while they're walking on the treadmill, and it's going to bring them to a mindful walking. something as simple as that, you're going to see a wide increase in utilization. And there's a lot more, and it really depends on your campus, where you're looking to incorporate it. If it's just general printing posters, we have things for your computer and video screens across campus. If you're a clean campus that doesn't do the flyers, bookmarks, handing out in your libraries, in your school bookstores, something that's as small as that just the students have. Others of you have been doing the marketing efforts behind the bathroom stalls too, since it's an anonymous resource. If we're worried about the fact that it's going to be stigmatized, then they can access this without someone knowing. So that's as far as the self-help resource. It's going to be a big component, but it's nice to be able to put, if you have a counseling center on your school, then you're going to create a direct link in TAL to that counseling center for those who might not go there and need it. And then we're still going to reduce the people who are going there and might not need it, because TAL has content that can help with the mild to moderate concerns that we're seeing across campuses. So really depends on your campus, but there's a lot of different materials available, not only through TAL, but if you meet with me and you say, hey, I'm thinking about launching this in my, when you launched the vet tech department, said, no problem, gave them grief and loss content to focus on, as that's something they see regularly. And sometimes just because you don't see your department listed in our resources does not mean we don't have materials for it. So as those who have any questions about what departments can use it and how they can do so, just never hesitate to reach out to me. I'm point of contact for all of you. So if you need anything, if you want a refresher training, anything, just don't hesitate. And I see Angela has her hand up.
Hi, Vinny. I just wanted to say, well, Vinny has been remarkable in using and getting TAL initiated here at SEC at Somerset Community College. So I came on just a few minutes late. So I think you all were grouping about how you were using these resources. We do not have a counseling center. We do not have counselors available. And so TAL has really been a saving grace for how we're promoting mental health wellness and awareness since we came back. And since I first learned about it in the spring, we had just a session where I learned and all the college learned about the resource. And then we really sat down to try to figure out what is the best way that we can get this information out. So one of the things it's going to be super easy for you all is that TAL and all of their support, they've already created, as we said, all the marketing materials. So we use some of our budget for our mental health just to make those flyers, the bookmarks, and then went out to our SGA so that any events, we started there, and Learning Commons, just areas. And we also put it on the website with a link and refer to that, and really just had to train and tell other people on campus, just when you're meeting with a student and, 5 or 6 times out of 10, something comes up that's a mental health related or just overwhelming and stress related, anything like that, we really had to rely on the TAL. I'm the accessibility services coordinator here at the college, but I also teach adjunct with our TRIO student support services in our first year experience class. I teach the 3 credit hour 105. That's a little bit more intense for first gen students or students who may not meet all the be ready or is prepared. What I was going to say is I actually embedded it and tested this summer, just adding it to my summer class with they got small points for it, but it's just participation. And it went so well that all of the FYE coordinator added it to all of the 3 credit hour classes for fall. And so we were able to, it's easy to clone and duplicate those groups. And Vinny has been tremendous in being able to do that. And anytime we had a question, she's always available. So I will say, kudos, thank you, Vinny. And then for our 100 level classes, since FYE is required, they have only 1 credit, so they don't have as much of the content to share, but we added it as a resource with the quick QR code. And then I go personally out to some of those classes. They invite me as a guest speaker, and I talk primarily about the TAL. So we also embedded or started looking into Active Minds. I know somebody had mentioned being JED. So Active Minds is another national chapter, and that's something that we created, a student organization. Students wanted, they saw what was happening with TAO, and it was very organic. I did not picture myself as a one-person office who's also over their behavioral intervention team. So I use the TAO quite often. I use it in trainings, but the students organically loved like seeing that mindfulness was, oh, you care about that holistically. Somebody, William, I think mentioned a holistic. The students really felt in that FYE class, just that you care about more than just my grades. So as the holistic, the FYE is a great place for, I feel like, the TAO, and it has caught on because now some of our psychology instructors are actually reaching out with B'nai and setting up sessions to see how they can embed for, again, just simple short credit or just extra credit. And last week was the first time I've actually set up a new group that I haven't talked to B'nai about, but as accessibility services coordinator, I saw in their newer content, they had for just accessibility services and students with disabilities and understanding that better. So I have a few students that I'm already working with and trying to introduce some of those sessions and assigning to them. Again, not as like, you know, homework, you have to do this, but they're really seeking help. And we don't have, like I said, we don't have the luxury of a counseling center. I'm certainly not a certified licensed counselor. I do have a master's degree, but you know, we really just don't have the resources at our college in our area. So it's really a team effort, and the TAO is simplistic enough, and things like the Active Minds initiative across campus, Red Folder initiative as well. And I'm not going to take all your time. I wanted to get that in there because I know our numbers. I don't know individually for SEC, but I do know because this is now spring, the third semester, and students are building their accounts. Is that where this is lies? I've had students ask if that was the only thing they had to do. You know, it has them take time for ourselves, which is really hard to do, and anybody to actually invest in themselves with so many priorities. So we help them make it a priority, and it's helped us on the other side. That's all I have to say. I'm sorry for taking so long.
Thank you. So I'm going to jump in and just respond to a couple of questions in the chat about renewing the TAO Connect contract from CPE. I think that there's several factors that will go into that decision. Primarily, we have to look at what our budget is, and that's being discussed right now in the state legislature. But other than that too, you know, when we entered into this contract, as you saw in the previous slide, this is from March 2020 through January 2022. And so our usage is not justifiable right now at the rate that we paid. So we paid for every public institution student to utilize this system, and we don't have those numbers. So if it were to continue, it wouldn't continue in the same way that it is right now. Lily, you can go to the next slide. I think I'm done with that.
Well, I was gonna say one thing, and because I recognize UK as a large school. So I'm Corinne Williams. I'm the acting associate vice president for student wellbeing at UK. And our utilization has been low. And I think part of that is also because we do have a lot of resources and a lot of other resources. So even as we share this, our uptake has not been great because we have like 12 things we're offering them. And so I think it might be helpful to think about how that works for individual, because there's clearly from just this conversation, clearly other institutions really need it. And so I would hope that could be a conversation. We could think about how to make this best impact all students across Kentucky.
Absolutely. So what, you know, as we talk about this, what are the barriers to maximizing the tool? And I think we've already kind of talked about the utilization best practices that you all have had. But what impact have you seen on student mental health, if any, and what impact have you seen for traditional mental health services?
This is Anita at BCTC, and I think that we did when I forget which school it was that said it as well, but we marketed it pretty much as a way to enhance the services that we've got, not to replace them, not to get rid of them, but to enhance it. And I think I don't have the exact numbers. I have the numbers that you all show, but I don't know what our exact school is doing. I don't know how much our students are utilizing it as a whole. I have talked to some who said they're using it, and while I've been talking in groups, I've seen them kind of playing on it, but what they're doing in their own time, I don't know. And I think it is because they do have us to talk to, and we are licensed, but also we don't land with a big waiting list very often. And because they can schedule their own appointments, it also doesn't do that. So I'm not sure how to make it work better for us or what to do. I know we've certainly tried. So any practices and I've listened, and you all have got some great ideas. So thank you all for sharing everything you shared. And anything that you all can continue to share to help us use it better, to anything we can do to reach them. So, but yeah, I don't really know. I don't know what the barriers are, except for they've got people. And I think that a generation of people who before preferred online have now realized that they too need people. So I think that that's one of the things that's happening.
Anita, I totally agree with you. And I think part of it too is programs like this, anytime we have a new initiative or a new program, it takes a while for the institution, for the culture of the institution to kind of understand this thing called TAO. They don't know about it. And so I think it's hard. It takes a little bit of time for any program like this to get traction. If this, this could be a full-time job. I wish, and I'm looking at Vinny and I'm like, oh, I wish we had time. I wish I had more time to devote to just that. But I did get some good ideas from our colleagues, so that's helpful, like TAO Tuesdays or, Mindful Mondays or whatever, and then just blasting. But you're kind of limited in how much you can email students. Social media, of course, we could up our game there, but I think some of these programs, just institutional culture, it just takes time. So.
I agree on that too. And just to say it, and Dr. Vaughn will tell you, because we did it, together we set it on about 12 different departments that we trying to incorporate it into all of these different places across campus, because then students were starting to hear about it, not just students, HR too, faculty and staff, anybody who could see some use to it, they can just use their institution ID and log in and have resources immediately. And in Madisonville, we had set up just some of them: FYE Trio, Accessibility, PTA Learning Space, MCC Accelerate, Respiratory Care, OTA, Library Services, Financial Aid, Student Affairs, Ready to Work, Physics and Astronomy, Math and Science, Biology, Math and Science, Math. So engineering, all of these places that you might not think of, at least putting it on their syllabi and letting students know that it's a resource does make a really big difference in terms of utilization. And I'm happy to train any of these departments. You don't have to sit on all of these meetings. Dr. Vaughn did, but you don't have to. I'm happy to coordinate all of that, because I care too about each of your institutions. I want to see this maximization of this resource, because it does make a difference. And once students know about it, they do use it.
I will say just quickly again, in talking about what impact did I see, I never dreamed, like I said, that I think that in our area in Southeastern Kentucky, you can go an hour in every direction and the culture is different. I used to work at EKU as well in a university. And so I can see, but in our area where mental health has such a huge stigma, the TAO has been awesome, because this is something that they can do. And now it's part of their, for example, it's low stake assignment points that they have to do. And it's things that I incorporate is I choose topics that are very focused on first year success, first year like test anxiety specifically, focusing, concentration. I don't go into the whole therapy while I show them that it's there, because I am sensitive to things that are related with stigma. But what it did do was break down that barrier, and that students wanted to do more. And then they've formed this group, and we met this morning. And so they're they're active on campus with the SGA and having a table about being active and breaking down mental health barriers. And our tools they're always asking, and their only tool we really have is the TAL. So I just think that was amazing coming out organically, as I had no idea that the student response would be, we want to do something, especially like I said, in our area, it speaks volumes.
And you've really turned it into more, I think you have 8 weeks worth of materials that you're doing in TAL, Angela, and it's mostly been based on professional development more than anything else with your students, which I think is why it's had such a positive response too, because I mean, I see it every day. Sometimes if you say, oh, this is a part of therapy, mental health, and then students will say, oh, I know I'm fine, I don't want to do anything like that. But having that in place, we can be proactive rather than reactive with their mental health and saying, this is for your career, this is for your college career, this is for your professional career. Once you progress past it, you're going to be able to utilize these resources because you've learned this new set of skills to help you cope and just live your life.
Any other feedback before we move on? So mental health training is something that we started around the same time that we started the TAL Connect contract. And we are partnering with CPE and UK Cooperative Extension are working together to provide this training. The goal is to have 1,900 faculty, staff, and administrators trained by September. Some of the issues with the natural disasters that have happened in our area, as well as COVID, have impacted how we're able to get this training done. And so we are going to have to ramp it up to really get everything done by September, and probably will rely on a good amount of this over the summer as well to try to get more people trained for the mental health first aid training. And so we're going to be discussing ways to get more students get more faculty, staff, and administrators participating. As Aisha mentioned in the chat before she left the call, that they have had trainings but didn't have the faculty show up in the way that they had signed up for it when we first sent out the link to sign up and participate in the training. So in thinking about, so for those of you who have participated or you've had the sessions on your campus, how have faculty and staff who participated in training responded to support student mental health? What impact have you seen on student mental health and wellness? And what impact have you seen on traditional mental health services?
I'll go ahead and go. This is Anita. I don't know if I can answer all of these, but I will say that faculty and staff were very thankful to have the opportunity to do mental health first aid. I think for the first one, I had 45 people sign up altogether, but we've had some turnover and some of those same people aren't here. So I think the first one might've been 17, and I think I had about 15 or 16 signed up for the second one, but that was on February 4th. And because of COVID, I had to change that. And I'd explained a little bit earlier, but I was in a department meeting with a teacher, staff and faculty the other day, and she was a part of the training, and she thanked me for bringing that training to campus. And she said that it has really helped her to, even when she's working with students and advising students, to go a little deeper in what she's asking them and to probe a little bit more. And I think that that's the part that in the past, some people weren't comfortable doing, probing and asking, and then also maybe some people don't have time to probe, right? You get into the questions, but she said that it has helped her. And so I'm hoping to get more people signed up for this next one coming up. And I think that as a campus, one of the things that we are really, really trying hard to do is create a culture of care, to where it's not just the 2 mental health clinicians place to take care of the students, but everybody. And I keep telling faculty and staff, if you all trust us, they will trust us. They know you, they don't know us. You know us. So you got to be the middle ground. If they're not gonna, if you don't tell them about us, they're not gonna know. And if you don't tell them, hey, go talk to her, she's pretty cool, they're not gonna come. So it matters that we get their buy-in. So I'm happy that they've been participating in this. That's the most I can say to that.
Thank you. That's helpful.
You're welcome.
We're just doing our first few sessions here at UK, but I will say the sign up, like people were so excited and thrilled about this and are really happy to be engaged. And I will say it is, we're working on how we can infuse this in some of our first year experiences, making sure that like those instructors, like also being strategic about who's trained and who is likely to have the most impact. So making sure, for example, our first year instructors, those who are running like in engineering, in cafe, agriculture, food and environment, have this training. I also want to offer a thank you to WKU, because we had a couple of people who had scheduling conflicts with our training times, and they opened up one of their virtual sessions to ensure that one of our instructors could definitely do the training. And I just want to say I appreciate that.
Anybody else?
I would love if anybody also could share any best practices that you've seen, or, you know, like everyone was sharing some really great ideas around the Tau Connect utilization. So if anyone has any other examples to share about the impact of this, or this really did work, or anything of that nature. Hitting that 1900 goal, that's a lot of people to still get through the training process, isn't it? Any ideas on, you know, best ways to go about that, or just campus to campus?
So I will say here at SEC, we use the mental health first aid training. I was able to send out something early in August to find a date that worked best for everybody in November. So planning ahead is a huge component. We have about 45 people, and we broke it into 2 virtual sessions. That just seemed to fit everyone's schedule. And I personally feel like that it went very well in creating that culture of care. What I've seen differently from the TAL being very focused on what's reaching out to the students was that the mental health first aid training, we found each other figuring out how we can really be more collaborative in our areas and how we can help each other, because we can't help students if we're not taking care of ourselves first. So I found in November that those 2 groups, it had pretty decent attendance actually, in the 5, I think maybe it was 4 or 5 students, and that they really worked with us on rescheduling those people to come in the spring virtually throughout another institution. And the way that we used that was everybody on our behavioral intervention team was required to have it. And then the vice president in our area and the with student affairs and vice president on campus identified other people in their areas, which were usually over department chairs and different academic areas and staff on campus, so that they could take it back to the concepts back to their areas. So it was really more of a required, and so the participation was, you know, everybody was there and let me know why they couldn't be. But what I found is that we focused more on ourselves and also learned how to have that challenging conversation. People that aren't in mental health, where we do have to approach it as a whole holistic collaborative across campus, because we don't have a counseling center. Is everyone feeling more comfortable about not having the answers, but how to best respond, how to validate and refer students to the appropriate resources? And so that's how we implemented it here at SEC.
Are there any issues or concerns about the scheduling? in any way that we can support, if that's been an issue for anybody, or has everybody gotten scheduled? Because I know that there's a few community colleges that we haven't been able to reach, and I'm not sure if they're on the call or not, but just what are some of those hangups and ways that we can work around that?
Well, I can speak for, I'm sorry, I can speak for Madisonville Community College. As a part of our behavioral intervention team initiative, we actually trained a large number of our faculty and staff. In the previous year, we contracted with someone locally to do a mental health first aid. There was an 8-hour training. And so, goodness, I would say 45 to 50 of our people were trained in that initiative. And so I think we had about 18 signed up for the training that occurred October 1st, and that was the remaining folks. But I do know I'll send something back out to see if we can capture new people that have been newly hired, and maybe those that did not make that initial training opportunity with Miss Jury.
This is Sherry at Southeast. Our problem is just getting everybody on the same schedule. I've had to schedule like 2 or 3 times, and then the COVID hit and we was going to do it in person, and now we had to change it. I tried to reschedule it, but those dates are not open. So I'm trying to make sure that the dates are available at the college as well, to where everybody that wants to attend can. And I just can't get it scheduled. So that's our biggest thing.
Okay.
And this is Teresa Conway with Maysville Community Technical College. Just trying to get it scheduled as well. I don't know that, we know exactly what dates are available. So if someone could send out that information, again, that would be great, because we have not been trained yet. But I know that we have, an attendee wish list set. So, and because we were also going to get our behavior intervention team trained, as well as the first year and success coaches. So we got people ready. We're just trying to figure out when we should get scheduled to do that, and when it's available to be trained, when we were available to be trained.
Teresa, can you put your email in the chat so that I can send you a quick email, connect you with Catherine to see if we can get that worked out?
Absolutely. Thank you.
This is Hopkinsville Community College. I was curious, can anybody put their email in there, and then would that be okay for you to send that back out to us if there's a potential that we have not done that yet?
Yes, I have the list, and it's not long. So,
Okay.
but I just didn't want to feel like I was calling anybody out. But if you are on the call from E-Town, Hopkinsville, Jefferson, or Maysville, those are the 4 that we still need to reach out to get scheduled.
Stephanie, if you can send me the dates too. Ms. Jury had sent me the dates, and then I don't know what's been used since then. It's been probably about the first of the year. And if maybe we can get on that list too.
And this is Corinne at UK, and I did have a question and maybe a comment also about scheduling. So we did struggle with having availability on dates that would work well for us, and we do have a lot of people to train. And so that was a little bit of an issue. So we ended up with no Tuesdays, I think was an issue. So for our instructors who always teach on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, it was hard to find a time for them. That's actually one who's going to the WKU training, and there's a couple who popped up that we're trying to work through. One question I had at the beginning of this part, I think you said that the trainings might be able to go through summer, but I thought we only had through June 30th. And so I'm just trying to clarify.
So our funds have to be used by September.
Okay.
And so our hope was that we could get them all done.
Mhm.
But it's looking like that would be a monumental task to get them all done by June. So maybe by July 1st, July 15th would be good, a good goal. And then if we have just a few left, we can make it work.
Okay, we will do our best. The reason I ask in particular is that a lot of our lecturers who are the ones who are in these, like I talked about, the large first year classes, only work August 15th through May 15th. So trying to get them, like we end up with a window where we can't, they're not available. And so that I think was the other part of our challenge, was just working with those schedules. And yeah, but I'm happy to work with you individually on that or see what we can do and where
Okay,
UK's
yeah, we
numbers
can
are.
follow up.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Lily, I think I'm not sure what the next slide is.
I think it's just, okay, so yeah, we're just kind of continuing to tie this all together. And we've had such great conversation today, and I really appreciate you all sharing so much of your knowledge and experience with your colleagues and with us. And so I know that Stephanie's kind of provided an update on next steps related to TAL Connect, and I think potentially, exploring different versions of a contract, for continuation or campus by campus partnerships with TAL Connect. And so that'll be kind of forthcoming but just, please continue to maximize that tool as much as possible so that before the contract runs out, that we do have, hopefully we're able to kind of keep climbing that hill of adoption. And I know that it does take a long on-ramp sometimes for a brand new platform and something that you're trying to get the word out about. It is definitely a full-time job to do that work. So that'll really help us to make the case of the value and the impact that it has had on our campuses and what the best type of plan moving forward to look like. So in addition to the TAL Connect, in addition to the mental health first training, are there any other ideas that you all have or thoughts that you'd like to share related to how you might be able to how CPE or the collaborative could continue to support you in your work to increase mental health services to students? If there's anything else that you've seen at other partner campuses, maybe outside of Kentucky, that has sounded like, oh, wow, that would be really cool. We should, explore that. Definitely all ears.
One thing I'll throw out, and I don't know if people on this call might be interested, but even just this conversation and hearing what people are doing at various institutions for me has been helpful to get ideas. And I wonder if there might be other things in the topic of mental health, not necessarily tied to these two initiatives, that would be helpful for us to talk about as a group, or just to sort of raise challenges. I know last week that SEC Wellbeing Directors met for the first time, I don't know what group it was. And it was really helpful just to sort of compare notes. And so I wonder if even within Kentucky, where we have a little bit more understanding of, shared students and challenges and whatnot, might be helpful.
I think that's a great idea, Corinne. And that is certainly one of the functions of the collaborative. And if there's a group of practitioners that want to get together, then we will absolutely help convene and help facilitate that conversation. It is certainly, I think this specifically would be one of the topics that would be great for campus leaders, like you all kind of sitting at a campus, to maybe serve as the facilitators of the conversation, but that the collaborative can provide all of that administrative support to provide the meeting, the virtual meeting space, record the meeting, send out the email communications and those kind of things. And actually, I don't want to jump ahead, but we do have a community of practice, and maybe one or two of you have participated in that, I'm not sure, but it's around student basic needs support. And so that very broadly, student mental health is certainly a core component of student basic needs. But that community of practice met for the first time in December, and we have worked with Complete College America to provide a 5-webinar series this spring. It's going to start Feb 1 and go through March 29. And that is going to be on various topics related to student well-being, emergency aid funding, Scaling mental health services is one of those topics. Kind of measuring that impact and ROI of student basic needs programs, those kind of topics. And so definitely want to invite all of you to consider participating in that workshop series if it's valuable to you. And then the other piece is that 7 campuses have decided to create a student basic needs. Well, they're working on a continuous improvement project around student basic needs on their campus. And so I hope that student mental health is a component of that work, so that the whole goal is for more coordinated student basic needs support services and integrated and coordinated. And I would absolutely, so I'm just putting the registration link in the chat, and that opens up all 5 of the webinars. And so you can register for just the first one and the 5th one, or whatever ones work with your schedule or the topics interest you, but it's the same registration link for all 5. So thank you for that suggestion, Corrine. I would love to continue this conversation related to a community of practice for mental health practitioners. Is there anything else that you all think would be a potential resource or support that CPE could provide?
I know that you guys have probably already thought about this, but if the contract was to end on June the 30th, has there been any discussion on what to do for the colleges that currently have TAL that do not have counseling or mental health on their campus? I know for us here at Hopkinsville, this has been something that I know that our students, faculty, and staff are really grateful to have, especially during COVID and the mental health that we have seen throughout that.
It is definitely a part of the conversation that we'll have. And again, you know, we are waiting to know what we are able to work with. And so, you know, we should know that in the next couple of months, hopefully the next few weeks, that will help guide how that conversation goes.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, so just wrapping it up, I've kind of mentioned some of these things in the last 5 minutes, but we do have a student basic needs community of practice. And it is, so these 5 webinars that are coming up, it'll be about 45 minutes of an expert kind of sharing experience and best practice. And then the last 30 to 45 minutes will be community of practice time. So it'll be like small groups, breaking out, people sharing, whatever's going on your campuses connected to student basic needs. So this could be a great series that you get a lot out of in a lot of ways. And then I also did want to introduce you to the Impact Exchange. It is an online platform for sharing knowledge and resource across, you know, it's open to all of our practitioners here in Kentucky, and it's KYS students type it. We just launched it this last week. So if you are on our collaboratives newsletter, then you would have seen, you would have gotten an announcement about it. But the Impact Exchange, let's see if I can share that. So it's an online platform, as I mentioned. And again, I understand we're going to probably have our own runway to go slowly down as we're trying to raise awareness about this tool and the effectiveness of it, the impact of it. But we are, from the collaborative's perspective, loading resources and resources and resources into this tool. And if we are, you know, as a practitioner, you know, we hope that folks will come, you'll join some of these channels, which are really communities of practice on different topics, and that you'll start conversations. So if you have a conversation or you have a question for your colleagues about mental health, then you could just post it in the comments, which is like the catch-all, And not only can you just ask whatever your question is, hey, what is everyone doing, you know, that's had the greatest impact of raising awareness about Tau Connect? You could throw that question out here and you might get some additional, hey, do any of these resources or conversations connect to what you're interested in? But once you post this on the community, then all the rest of you would be able to chime in and share what it is that you've done that's really made a difference. And so this is kind of our way of hopefully expanding the reach of the collaborative, like right out the gate, and really taking, you know, it's organic. So whatever y'all's questions are, then you can provide both the questions and the answers to support one another. And if there's a lot of energy, for example, the Commons gets really bogged down, there's a ton of questions around mental health, we can create a special channel that you all could each just become a member of. And then that's almost even a smaller community of people that you continue the conversation with. You don't have to have an account to access any of the resources, but if you do want to post a conversation, then it does ask that you log in, and you either just do that through your Google or your LinkedIn kind of automatic login. So this is a tool that we'll be talking about more often, but you know, I would love to get it kicked off. And so in my follow-up email to this conversation, I will include a little bit more information about the impact exchange for everybody. That's all that I had today. I think that we had a really great conversation, and I really appreciate everybody sharing so many wonderful ideas about Tau Connect, about, you know, mental health first aid, about all of the different practices that you all are doing. You're doing so much. And even with no counseling centers on your campuses, I'm just amazed at how much is happening here to support students. So I would be very open if anyone wanted to reach out to me. I'll put my email in the chat to chat about what this practitioner community of practice could look like. And especially if there'd be anybody who would love to kind of be a co-facilitator of that community, at least as we get it started, and then that can just be a rotational role. But I do hope that y'all have a wonderful start to your week, and I'll follow up with an email soon.
Thank you all.
Thank you.